The city exists, and it has a simple secret. It knows only departures, not returns. These are pre-giant cities, basically. This is the model that you would show to everyone and say, this is my vision, this is my idea. I got my idea.
I can hold the wall steady so that you can...
The flow happened, okay? So we're deciding that it will happen, and a really cool thing's going to happen here because this will have partially opened, so you begin to see slivers of what's happening. So if this is blocked off, you begin to see Dieter drawing on this screen as you've been seeing during this whole process. And another thing that's going to happen, which, by the way, all these fluorescent nasty lights are not going to be around. There's the whole lighting part of it, which is a whole other medium that we need to consider as we look at this whole space as a whole. So whatever you do over here has an effect over there and all around. It's almost like if you took a piece of paper, whatever you draw over here has an effect over here and all over the place. And then you multiply that by a whole lot of people working on that same piece of paper. You really need to see and experience all the things around you. See, Dieter is part of the art. He's the person doing the performance. And therefore, unlike other art exhibits that you might go to where the artists and all the gallery owners are walking around with their champagne and congratulating each other, Dieter's busy. He's actually part of what's happening. Without him, that whole medium of the drawing and the light and the energy is no longer here. So that is why he is here and he's projecting. Now, one thing that happened last night as part of this evolving process in trying to soften these lights and get an idea for how it will feel was, did you guys all see the tablet that Dieter draws on? Well, that happens over here, but he can duplicate whatever he's drawing there down here and over there and over there. And with all the people involved, basically he's drawing on the people too. So all this part of it, then the people become part of the experience. And you see how things begin to evolve, like another medium, which is the people themselves become part of the medium. They're another surface to work with. So keeping this open is kind of interesting. What you see here, you guys, how many of you painted on this wall? Okay, now here's what happened. In the process and in the vision of the unity of the whole space, the individual, we'll call them separate murals, the peace signs, the names, the letters, the words, are no longer here. So what happened was, in the evolution, which is the goal of the whole space, is the space to become one project and not each one's individual one. So Dieter, the artist, goes through and actually works with a lot of, you see a lot of figure forms, there are a lot of organic forms, there's tie-in, there's color, there's texture, there's so many things that begin to make things go together, because out of this chaos, do you see control out of this chaos? There's some kind of a common theme. It's hard to see, but if you begin to look and begin to understand some of the line work, you might begin to see part of what we're talking about as the whole city. And a city is really never individual things. It's always what happens with all the components of the whole. Okay? So the opening, there still needs to be people talking. I don't know, maybe the mayor, we don't know who's showing up, but people will need to talk. So here's the space over here that will be for the person talking. So to consider function as well in this art piece, we needed to have a space where a lot of people can gather around to hear somebody speaking about something. Now again, lucky Dieter, he doesn't have to speak because he's over there doing his stuff. So, so that's really cool. Now, here's an idea that came about. We're hoping it could work. And it's going to be one part of the project that this whole art group is going to really work with, which Dieter thought it would be a nice idea to have an entry to the structural cell part of the city, but somehow starting from here, making the grand arch of entering this space. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Because then the flow, again, is directed The eye moves around. The eye sees this as a texture and light during the day. The eye sees color and things happening and drawing happening there. You're reminded here. You even see a little bit of what is here all the way through, so you begin to see on that wall similar metaphors, similar line work colors that happen on both sides. So again, it's pulling the space together. And on a grand scale, this Gothic arch, which is kind of part of this city, this architectural form, has a different scale. So scale change is also another really exciting thing in art, you know, so it begins to have that form just come out. So believe it or not, it feels random in a good way because it's thought out. And it's thought out with the audience in mind. Without an audience, this is not art. So go figure that. So walk through it a little bit and see how it feels and how it moves you. You see, there are certain points where you need to make decisions. Sometimes you don't know whether to go left or right. Sometimes you don't know whether to stop, and that's all good things. So there is actually a sense of order in this randomness of placement of all these L-shaped walls. Imagine that two-dimensional painted wall is exactly what happened in these three-dimensional sculptural walls. Okay? So what happened is that the process, the whole design process, everything's a process. You saw it, some of you were here yesterday, and Dieter and I were fooling around with these lights, and we didn't know what we were hanging fabrics. We got that kind of like inverted thing hanging there. We didn't know, but it's part of the process. Some things work, some don't. So again, this began to work pretty well, and then all of a sudden we started projecting through it. You see, all these things happen, and they wouldn't happen unless there was this ever-changing process. Okay, so you guys are a part of history with this. Being part of an ever-changing process is really a beautiful thing.